Tom ORourke has been living in the town of Mount Pleasant since the 1970s. He's also been involved with a lot of government and recreation. Now, he wants to serve on the town of Mount Pleasant's Town Council. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I sit down with him one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Well, Tom, it is so good to see you.
It's good to see you. Thanks for asking me.
Anytime.
Yes.
Well, you know, as we sit here right now, I know that you were once the executive director for the Charleston County Parks and Recreation Commission. Mm-hmm. And now you're running for Mount Pleasant Town Council.
Yes, I am.
Tell me, what got you from Parks and Recreation to now wanting to serve on the town of Mount Pleasant?
Well, you know, I think government service is government service, no matter how you do it. And I moved to Mount Pleasant in 1978, almost 40 years ago. So I was in Mount Pleasant when there were less than 10,000 people.
Right.
It's hard. I'm trying to find the census data, but some people say 7,000, some people say 9,000, but either way, it's a whole lot different than it looks right now. And I've loved that town, still love that town. I was the recreation director there for about 8 years. So I worked for the government of Mount Pleasant. I was a part of that staff. I knew so many people in that town. You know, all the kids that go to Reds, they don't know who Red Simmons was.
Right.
I was Red Simmons' friend, you know. I met Junior Magwood, you know, as they fight about the Shem Creek. Right. Gargy Darby, the mayor, I ate lunch at his house. I understand the history and the passion of what made the community what it was. So it's why I'm doing it is I think that we've got so many issues in Mount Pleasant right now. And it's all about growth.
Right.
But we're going to grow. We're going to grow. And we have to really make sure that the infrastructure is there first. We have to make sure that we're doing it in a logical, smart way. We've got to enforce our plans. And I think we've got about a 10 to 15 year window to maybe create a new vision of what a city with 120,000 people in it looks like. The best city in the world.
Yes, indeed.
And let's build that vision and make decisions toward that vision.
And describe to me the following one word: the old village.
Yeah, the old village that was the town back in the day. And it's interesting, the old village, you know, we look at the wealth that's in Mount Pleasant right now. It wasn't like that. Mount Pleasant was a working town. And the people that lived in the old village worked very hard. It was almost a blue-collar town, pretty much. So it changed over that time. But the old village is a wonderful, wonderful place. Yes. With it's the town's oldest history. So it's something that has to be preserved, for sure.
Shem Creek, next door.
Shem Creek, yes. And Shem Creek, I think some people want to go back to what Shem Creek was. Those days are over. And not that the new vision can't be created to something that's great, but Shem Creek, I'm afraid, over time is going to become more populated, and it's going to have to take some management of the waterways in that creek.
I want to go back to the Pulsar Quarry article, which they basically did a look at all the 10 candidates. And that particular article struck out to me because it says this: earlier this year, there was an unsuccessful effort to allow voters to consider a referendum to switch future town council elections to a single-member district system, which specific areas of town would have their own representative instead of choosing all 8 council members town-wide.
Yeah.
Tell me, when you heard that news, what was going through your mind, Tom?
Well, I've heard the news as it was going on, too, so I'm glad you brought it up. I have a website, tomorourke.org,
right.
And what I'm going to do, every 3 or 4 days, there's a post called Tom's Positions. And I already have a position on single-member districts on there. Okay. What I'm going to try to accomplish is that before everybody walks in that booth, they know every single position that I have on things. So they're going to do one of 2 things. They're not going to vote for me. Or if they vote for me, and if I win, everybody's going to know my positions one way or the other, so it won't be a surprise. The single-member district issue, I do have an opinion on. I don't like them. But let me tell you why. I've worked in my position in the county with North Charleston, City of Charleston, County of Charleston, a lot of people with single member districts. And it's almost like having 9 mayors, you know? If this district gets something, this district wants something. If this district gets a park, that district wants a park. And what you have sometimes are one person in one district cutting a deal with one person in this district. And what I'm trying to bring to Mount Pleasant is one Mount Pleasant. I mean, one Mount Pleasant. And I think single member districts would pull us away from that. Now I want to finish the conversation on that. What I do not like less than single member districts is when people feel like they don't have representation. That's a problem. Because there are people right now that feel like they do not have representation. That needs to be addressed. And what I think might not be a bad idea to address that is, during the comprehensive plan right now, they've separated the town into districts. And I think after the plan's done, they should keep those districts intact, have the leaders of those comprehensive planning committees meet, and have a mechanism to get the word back to the mayor and the town council on things that affect their areas. I am not for single member districts, but I am for representation. And I will say this, if people feel like they're not being represented, then I would vote for single member districts. But I do want to say one thing too, so I can make both sides unhappy.
Okay.
If 8,300 people come to me with a petition, I'm pretty sure I'm going to vote to put that on a ballot. If you think about it, it took about 6,400 votes to get elected. 8,300 people is a pretty big section of people that are interested in something. I've spoke to people that have said they weren't really sure if they were for it or against it, but they were for asking the public to see what they thought or not. You know, I've been in government all my life. I think the public speaks, we listen. And the public really was just asking to ask the question. So I think with my answer, I probably made everybody upset. But if a large number of people come and want something on the ballot, I probably would listen to that group. I'm not for single member districts, but I am for representation and people feeling that they have the representation. I'm just asking for a chance. I want to show, I feel like I'm a unifier. I feel like I have brought people together. I want to bring this entire community together, and I want to see 9 professional people on council with a mayor working together based on one collective vision of where they want the town to go, and I really think that can happen.
Let me take you to the town council. You just mentioned that people in Mount Pleasant feel like they're not being represented by their respective town council members. What is your definition of the Mount Pleasant Town Council right now?
I think that it's very misunderstood. One of the things that I know is we are governed by laws. The whole city's governed by laws. Right. There are things that council members can and can't do by law. If you vote this way and it's against the law, then there's going to be repercussions from that. There's only so much you can do. There are people that want to say, I want to just stop all growth. If we stop all growth today, if we just woke up and said, okay, don't permit anything anymore forever, by the time they fill up all the apartments and all the housing developments that are already approved, we're still over 100,000 people. So for people to think we're going backwards, that's not going to happen. I think we need to be as honest as we possibly could be with the citizens on what the council can do and cannot do. And there are some things that the council cannot, they could do it, but they're going to end up paying for it somehow in a court of law. You also can go back and say, we're going to stop all development, we're going to go back and we are going to redo all the, we're going to down zone, we're going to do everything. That's not cheap. That's really, really expensive to go ahead and do that. But it can be done. And it's interesting, government there's only so much money, you know? There's a city administrator in, he's not there anymore, but he was at Goose Creek, great city administrator, Dennis Harmon. And he had a statement that's really funny. And he always would tell his council when they wanted something, I can give you all the government you want to pay for. And that's true. So there's only so much money everybody wants to pay to do all of this stuff. And we have to take that into consideration too. So when you say, what do I think of Mount Pleasant Council right now? I think every single person up there is speaking their conscience, doing what they're trying to do, but there's only so much really that can be done. And I think that the issue is growth. The whole issue in the whole town is growth. And I think that what we're gonna have to do is figure out how we, because it's going to grow. I don't care what anybody says. Like I said, if you stop every permit today, when we fill everything up, there's a whole lot more cars coming. How do we build the infrastructure to keep up with this growth that's coming? That's the issue.
Then that's my next question. What is the future of Mount Pleasant in your mind?
Oh, I think it's, this is gonna sound really crazy. I think it's the best city in the whole world. I really do. I close my eyes and I see, well, first of all, Mount Pleasant has everything you need to be a great city. It's got water access. Right. It's got jobs. Right. It's got employment. It's got wealth. It's got economic impact. It has great restaurants. It has a great business climate. It has everything we need. I'm a recreation guy, okay? I'm a quality of life person. I would love to see every single park, school, neighborhood connected with bicycle and pedestrian trails. I would love to see us be able to have a decision when we get out to go somewhere, jump on a bicycle or take a walk, and just link all of this together. Things that go to water, things that go to parks. Where do we get parks? You know, I think you can solve growth problems with parks. There are developers that bought land. They bought land to get a return. Just like you bought a house, I bought a house, and you want a return. The only way you are going to get them to stop developing that land is to buy it. So we're going to have to buy land from people. And if we buy land from people, and we own this land, we might as well give it back to the public that paid for it in some manner as a passive park or whatever it can be. So I see a lot of quality of life things. You know, our recreation department in Mount Pleasant has been pretty good, pretty active. And there's a lot of youth that are doing a lot of things, a lot of seniors that are doing a lot of things. But I don't think we have the facilities to keep up with that either. So no, we don't have enough roads, but we also don't have enough recreation facilities either. So we have to look at that. But the question is, where does that money come from?
And you talk about you being a recreational guy as well as a quality life guy. But when you take off that recreational hat and the political candidate hat, who is Tom ORourke?
Yeah, I'm two people, the opposite. I am very fiscally conservative. Okay. I know money, I know budgets, I balance them. I teach government finance at Clemson. Right. I understand finance, and I'm very conservative. But I'm really socially liberal. I think I'm for the little person. Okay. I'm for the person with nothing. I think they should be allowed to do as much as anybody that has all the money in the world. I think that Parks and Rec and our programs can solve a lot of social issues. I really do. So I'm two people. All these social programs that I love, I don't think government should have to pay for it. I've seen it. I've done it at Charleston County Parks, where philanthropy has come in and paid for the things for the underserved. But I'm for that. One other thing that I would like to see as it relates to One Mount Pleasant and quality of life and really serving everyone is, I wish we had more annexations of some of the donut hole properties. 6 Mile, Snowden, you know, those areas. I wish would come into the town. I would like to talk to those people and find out why. I already have. I have over the years. I think a lot of it's trust. Trust you can't say trust. You have to earn trust. And but I would like to see One Mount Pleasant. And when we say One Mount Pleasant, and you've got a neighborhood over here, and a neighborhood over there, and a neighborhood over there that's not part of the town, that our police are serving them anyway, our fire department's serving them anyway. What are we doing? You know, They need to be part of the town, and every single donut hole needs to come into the town, and let's all be one united community.
Well, Tom O'Rourke, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, thank you. It was great.
Likewise.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.